Yes, we are live now.
Shall we start, Sana? Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar National Education Policy 2020 Glimpse on School Education, a 21st Century Bharat Centric Education System. Myself, Mrinal, I will be your moderator, and I'm excited to be hosting this session today. As we all know, there is addition of the new Education Policy 2020 in our system. Now about Education Policy 2020, the NEP 2020, which was approved by the Union Cabinet of India on 29 July 2020, outlines the vision of India's new education system. The new policy replaces the previous National Policy on Education, 1986. The policy is a comprehensive framework for elementary education to higher education as well as vocational training in both rural and urban India. The policy aims to transform India's education system by 2030. Pharmanecia 2.E 2020 invites leaders from the pharmaceutical industry, regulatory, academia, research, hospital, health and community across the globe to pave the way towards exploring the current trends, innovation and technology of the healthcare system. The mission is to lay an international platform for interaction among pharmacy students, academic scholars, and industry experts to foster a learning environment about pharmaceutical sciences and its latest advancements. About Dreams College of Institute, it is managed by Dreams Educational Society, established on 6th January 2006, with its chairman Sri Naresh Kumarji as the founder of the society. The society was constituted by inducting many educationists as its member from the local area. The society was registered on 6th March 2006. Our vision and mission is that to educate superior and quality education in pharmacy and engineering to enlighten the students' life shine and bright. The mission of Dreams Education Society is to work as a pace-setting institute with an eye on the future to produce motivated pharmaceutical personnel and engineers striving for excellence and perfection in the tasks undertaken, with zeal to serve the interests of the nation and its people in a competitive global scenario. Being one of the best scientific community, Operant Pharmacy Federation aims to spread more about pharmacy profession by organizing different exhibitions, conferences, workshops, seminars, and camps. We will feel proud that OPF is one of the internationally recognized users for biomedical and pharmaceutical study, with high quality reviews, original research work, short communication, ethics, form case, report, education form, and others. We aim to contribute our best efforts in the field of pharmacy and biomedical. Now, starting the session, now I want to hand over the session to Dr. Vivek Gupta, sir, for inaugural remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Miss Nunal. A very good evening to all of you. I wish you all well in health and spirit in this corona time. I request to follow all guidelines precautions by the government as it is now in community separate days in many places. I, Dr. V.K. Gupta, welcome on the behalf of Dreams College of Pharmacy all the dignitaries, our honorable resource persons, chief guests, distinguished guests, Dr. Jitendra Singh, Dr. N.C. Desai, staff and students in this webinar with theme National Education Policy 2020 Glimpse on School Education, a 21st Century Bharat-Centric Education System. In the very first session, Dr. Jitendra Singh, who is working as a dean in Career Point University, I welcome you, Dr. Singh. He will speak on National Education Policy 2020 with special focus on changes laid down in elementary education. You know, recently a bill in Parliament has been passed on National Education Policy that is a revolutionary step by Government of India. So we must be aware about the changes in our education system. Subsequent session will be conducted by Dr. N.C. Desai, ex-senior professor, BSR faculty fellow, UGC New Delhi, Department of Chemistry, DST FIST, funded department, MK Bhavnagar University, Bhavnagar. I welcome you, sir. Dr. Desai will speak on research and publication strategy for academic career. You know, research and publications are two important pillars of academic career. We are lagging behind with quality research and quality publications when we compare ourselves with developed countries. So, I am sure guidance of both the luminaries will prove a significant milestone in our knowledge. This webinar is conducted with the collaboration of OPF. Director of OPF, Mr. Vikram Chaudhary, is also associated with us. I must appreciate his efforts. At last, once again, I welcome one and all. Now over to Ms. Minal.
Thank you, sir. By forwarding the session further, I want to hand over the session to Vikram Chaudhary, sir, for inaugural remarks.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Good evening, one and all present here. I welcome our chief guest and distinguished guest of today's session, Dr. Jitendra Singh, and our keynote speaker, Professor Nisit Desai, and Principal of James College of Pharmacy, Dr. Vivek Kumar Gupta ji, and all delegates who have joined the sessions on the new educational policy at 21st century Atmanirbhar Bharat. And the Dr. Jitendra Singh will be speak about the new educational policy, and Professor Nisit Desai will speak on the pharmaceutical research for the academic persons. And I welcome all the dignitaries who have joined the sessions. Thank you each and everyone who have present. Thank you so much. Over to Ms. Mirna.
Thank you, sir. Now, for the introduction of our today's first session speaker, I want to hand over the session to Dr. Vivek Gupta. Over to you, sir.
It, it is a matter of proud to introduce Dr. Jitendra Singh, who is my student. Really a feeling that cannot be expressed in words. Presently working as a Dean, Career Point University, Hamirpur, Himachal Pradesh. Earlier, he has worked in Chandigarh University, Mohali as Associate Professor. Pharmacy and Phytochemistry from Kurukshetra University, Kurukshetra, and PhD from Punjab University, Chandigarh. His research work is primarily based on the natural products isolation, characterization, purification, quantification of bioactive principles from plant drugs, analytical method development of biomarkers in the crude drugs, standardization of crude drugs, design and development of formulations based on natural products, animal experimentation based clinical studies, especially anti fertility, anti anxiety, anti diabetes, antimicrobial, etc. He has published 19 national and international articles in various peer-reviewed journals of repute and 4 book chapters. More than 180 citations and 8 H index are to his credit. He has also been awarded with UGC Research Fellowship in Science for meritorious students by the UGC New Delhi. Now I welcome Dr. Jitendra Singh. I invite Dr. Jitendra Singh to carry this session on National Education Policy 2020. Thank you.
Respected Professor V.K. Gupta, Director, Dreams College of Pharmacy, and my mentor, uh, Mr. Vikram Chaudhary, who is the Director of Operate Pharma Federation India, Ms. Mirnal, who is the coordinator of today's this event, and is delivering the anchoring this event. Our next speaker, Professor M. Desai, various delegates, participants, and the organizing team. So, sir, it is really very proud moment to listen special words from your side, especially on this platform. And I felt I'm lucky to have a mentor like Professor V.K. Gupta, who provides their skills or assets, knowledge, uh, and especially who taught about the humanity. So thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Before starting my presentation, I due my respect towards you. Thank you for inviting me. Today's topic is something different of my scientific journey or scientific or education journey. That is National Education Policy 2020, which is recently passed from the Parliament. And as said by Professor Gupta, it is a revolutionary step taken by the government of India. And I also want to add that it is a required step. It is a required step. This change is required for the India, especially because the Indian community, Indian scenario, Indian population, India has a diversified population, various economically as well as socially. So to have such policy is really a great effort done by the government, and because currently we are going some kind of different strategy that somewhere in private schools they are adopting some different system, and whereas in government they are adopting different. They are covering the previous policy. They are following the previous policy, but this government has taken this step, and it will be implemented soon effectively. I wish to the government. So I am Dr. Jitendra Singh, Dean at School of Pharmacy, Career Point University, Hamirpur. And this program is conducted by Dreams College of Pharmacy, Sundarnagar, District Mandi of Himachal Pradesh, in the collaboration with Open Pharmacy Federation India on the virtual platform StreamYard. So the topic of today's talk is National Education Policy 2020, Glimpse on School Education, a Bharat Centric Education System for 21st Century. So let me discuss what it is. National Education Policy, commonly or societally known as New Education Policy, because it is recently came into the existence, so it's, the people, public is known as new. So it's National Education Policy, and it is a policy formulated by Government of India to promote the education in the country. So after came into the existence, the Indian education system shall follow this education policy in the boundary of this country. So national education policy reflects the vision of a country on education. What the vision and what kind of objective of the on the education a particular country has. So the first national education policy was published in 1968, and second in 1986, and then third it's third, which is recently came into existence and passed through the parliament. As said by Ms. Mirnali, it was approved on 29th July 2020. Let me discuss the process and application of national regulating and finalizing and drafting the National Education Policy 2020. National Education Policy processed by constitution of a committee and the Cabinet Secretary, Mr. T.S.R. Subramaniam in 2015. The committee worked on the drafting of national education policy with the consultation of experts and stakeholders. And in 2017, the committee submitted the report by consulting the educationists, by consulting the stakeholders, by consulting the even students and the educationists. The draft NEP was then submitted by the panel led by former Indian Space Research Organization chief Mr. Krishna Swamy Kasturi Ranjan in 2019. Sorry. So it was submitted. The final draft. The draft was submitted in 2020 by the Kasturi Ranjan, who was the Indian Space Research Organization chief, and this draft is commonly known as Kasturi Ranjan report. The draft new education policy (DNEP) was released by Ministry of Development, Government of India in 2019, and after implementation of suggestions received by the public. Then after 2020, the draft was kept open for the public grievance, for the public suggestions. So after implementation of suggestions received by the public, the suggestion was in the rights. The various suggestions received from the public, education institutions, stakeholders, and the experts from various disciplines. The National Education Policy was finally published and released in 2020. So the NEP 2020 replaces the National Policy on Education of 1986, the second education policy of India. So this is the structural classification of this national education policy. Part 1, it covers school education. This is the technical structure. The part 1 is school education. Part 2 consists of higher education. Part 3, other key areas of focus, and part 4 is making it happen, how it can be executed. Let me speak on today's topic, that is school education. So the school education system that is called commonly known as 10+2 structure is totally different with the existing one, and it will modify with a new pedagogical and curricular restructuring with these numbers 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. We will discuss 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 in later slides. So in the current education policy, children in the age group of 3 to 6 are not covered in 10+2 structure. In the second education policy, the students are not covered below the age of 6, are not covered in 10+2 structure, that they cannot get admission in the government schools or in the first class, right? So because the minimum requirement of a class first begins at age 6. So in the new policy, the new structure 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 structure, a strong base of early childhood care and education from age 3 is also included. So this is commonly known as ECCE, which is a kind of foundation stage, preparatory stage. So from the age of 3 is included in this policy, which is aimed at promoting better overall learning development and well-being. So this is the structure of this current National Education Policy 2020. So this is the comparative analysis of between the previous academic structure and this NEP 2020. So you can see that at the age of 6, students start schooling, and as of between 6 to 16, the student will be promoted to 10th class, and then 10+2 in the age group of 16 to 18. While in a new pedagogical and curricular structure of NEP 2020, there is a foundation slab foundation step, which include 3 years Anganwadi, preparatory, and Bal Vatikas with the age of 3 to 6. Admission of the student will get in third year of his or her age, and then he or she will cover the 3 years to the Anganwadi's preparatory school, that is called preschool, Bal Vatikas, and then he or she will spend 2 years in class first and second, and that is comes under the foundational step. And in preparatory class, the student begins this preparatory in the class 3 through to 5. So the student with the age group of 8 to 11 will got admission to 3 to third to fifth class, and then the next slab is middle. Middle is between class 6 to 8 years, and class 6 to 8, and the secondary will begin from ninth and to the 12th. So this is the 10+2 structure, that is classified as foundation 5 plus 3 preparatory plus 3 middle and plus 4 secondary. So this become 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. This is 10+2 curricular system. Let me talk about which we have discussed, ECE, that is early childhood care and education, which is required in Indian for the Indian children, Indian society, because it will be the foundation of the learning, right? Then so considering child's cognitive brain development and physical growth, the ECCE has been incorporated as a part of school education in National Education Policy 2020. Considering the development and the physical growth, it was considered for the foundation stage. And ECCE ideally consists of flexible, multifaceted, multi-level, play-based, activity-based, and inquiry-based learning, and it comprises alphabets, working and learning of alphabets through activity-based and play type of education will be taken considered in the early childhood care and education. So the parts which will be covered during this ECCE are alphabets, learning on alphabets, languages, numbers, counting, colors, shapes, and other indoor activities. Whereas in outdoor play, puzzles, logical thinking, problem solving, drawing, painting, and other visual art, craft, drama, poetry, music, and moments. This will totally become the multi-level play-based, activity-based. So students will will not undergo any kind of stress during stress of education during this, and this will be covered in a simple language, in a simple environment, hurdle on stress-free conditions. National education policy, it also include focus on developing societal, the main objective of the foundation part of this education policy will be on developing social capacities, sensitivity, good behavior, courtesy, ethics, personal and public cleanliness, a feeling of teamwork and cooperation. So early childhood care education will provide all these parts, and the overall aim of early childhood care and education will be to attain optimal outcomes in the domain of physical and motor development, cognitive development, socio-emotional, ethical development, cultural, artistic development, and the development of communication and early language literacy, etc. What it means, you may think that these all parts will be covered in a playway manner, There will be no such kind of educational system and educational stress which will be incorporated on the students or the kids or the children. No, but it will be totally on the basis of their play learning. So this national curricular and pedagogical framework for early childhood care and education for children up to the age of 8 will be developed by NCRT. The NCRT will be given the responsibility to develop this kind of curricular and pedagogical framework for the children to learn all these to learn and achieve all these objectives. So a sub framework for 0 to 3 year old and a sub framework for 3 to 8 year old will be designed by the NCRT, and I think that the work is being started by the experts of this committee. So it will be aligned with the guidelines, the latest research on ECEC and national and international best practices. The whole curriculum will be aligned by considering the Indian system of culture, Indian system of capacity, and the priorities. So the framework will serve as a guide both for parents and for early childhood care and educational institutions. ECCE shall be delivered through a significantly expanded and strengthened system of early childhood education institutions consist of stand-alone Anganwadis. These are the primary assets which will be responsible for this foundation stage. Anganwadis along with the primary schools or primary schools or sections covering at least age 5 to 6 years, located with the existing primary school and standalone preschools. So the priority will be given to the Anganwadi co-located with the primary schools and with the standalone preschools, and it will be open to the state also. NEP declared that the state can be incorporated in according to their liability, according to their system of the state. So all of which would recruit workers, teachers, specially trained in the curricular and pedagogy of this ECCE. So there are provisions to train the Anganwadi worker, to train the teachers who are dealing with this foundation education, and there are provisions to provide the training and to ensure the learning of mentorship for the small kids, small children. So it will be all the Anganwadi officers will be undergo through a particular duration of course, whether it will be six months or 1 year. Then they will be certified as a tutor for this foundation education. So a large population of students currently in elementary school estimated to be over 5 crore in number and have not attained foundation literacy and numeracy. This is the picture. This is a survey conducted by a government and the private organization, and there is large proportion of students currently in elementary school which have not attained the foundation literacy and numeracy. So certainly they feel the difficulty in their higher education because the science, as per the science, the brain, the development of brain is fast. There is the fastest growth of brain. The learning ability till the age of 10 years. So the ability to read and comprehend basic text and the ability to carry out basic addition and subtraction with Indian numerals. So it will be focused on the literacy and numeracy. The foundation literacy and numeracy step will be on toward the ability basic mathematical calculations. So the highest priority of the education system will be to achieve universal foundation literacy and numeracy in primary school by 2025. So to this end, a national mission and on foundation literacy and numeracy will be set up by the Ministry of Human Resource Development on priority basis. This is the vision of the government to achieve the education system, the universal foundation literacy and numeracy in primary school by 2025. So yes, in the current in the National Education Policy 2020, a pupil teacher ratio (PTR), commonly known as PTR, is of under 31, and will be ensured at the level of each school. Areas having a large number of socio-economically disadvantaged students will aim for a PTR of under 25 to 1 ratio. That means the teacher student ratio in the socio-economically disadvantaged area will be 25 to 1. One teacher, two tutor will be there for the 25 students. So teacher will be trained, encouraged, and supported with continuous professional developments to impart foundational literacy and numeracy. There will be an increased focus on foundational literacy and numeracy throughout the preparatory and middle school curriculum. And the main criteria of covering under this preparatory and middle school are reading, writing, speaking, counting, arithmetic, and mathematical thinking. So this will be the main criteria incorporated into the curriculum till the middle school, preparatory to middle school in various modules. The National Repository of High Quality Resources on Foundational Literacy and Numeracy will be made available on the digital infrastructure for knowledge sharing, Diksha, which is also working nowadays also, and technological intervention to serve as aid to teacher and to help bridge any language barrier that may exist between teacher and student will be piloted and implemented. The whole curriculum till the stage of middle and especially in the stage of foundational or preparatory will be in the local as well as national language. So enjoyable and inspirational books for students at all levels will be developed in local and Indian languages and will be made available extensively in school and local public libraries. There are vision of this national education policy to create the libraries for the local public also that can refer after the school also. So there will be a library in which the local and Indian language books will be provided in the school as well as local public libraries. So public and school libraries will be significantly expanded to build a culture of reading across the country. Digital library will also be established and in the country as school library and the public library. School libraries will be set up, particularly in villages, to serve the community during non-school hours. A national book promotion policy will also be formulated to ensure the availability, accessibility, and the quality of literature. So this policy will provide the special care about the availability of the books and its accessibility. In this policy, it is also mentioned that nutritious and energizing breakfast, in addition to midday meal during school hours, will be provided to the students, and all school children shall undergo regular immunization, regular health checkups, especially for 100% immunization in school, and health cards will be issued to monitor the same. In private school, these are already implemented. And a survey conducted by NSSO in 2017-18 revealed the number of out-of-school children in the age group of 6 to 17 years is 3.22 crore. This is the figure of a survey conducted during 17-18 that the students, the dropout students during this year will be was 3.22 crore. In NEP, it will be a top priority to bring these children back into the education fold as early as possible and to prevent further students from dropping out. So this NEP will ensure to reduce the number of dropping out students and to ensure retain that dropping out students. So it's a goal to achieve 100% gross enrollment ratio in preschool to secondary level by 2030. School infrastructure and qualified skilled teachers will be taken under consideration to provide quality education. Better school infrastructure and qualified teachers will be provided for the school education, and open and distance learning programs offered by the National Institute of Open Schooling and state open schools will be expanded and strengthened for meeting the learning needs of young people in India who are not able to attend a physical school. So there will be a provision for the open schooling also, which the learners who cannot able to attend the physical school. So foundation stage 5 years of preschool preparatory type education. Curriculum, we have already discussed what kind of parameters will be included in the curriculum, and the middle stage, which is 3 years of education. The main pedagogy will be on science, mathematics, arts, social sciences, and humanities. So these will be the major concerns in the middle stage education. But the curriculum is it is instructed that the curriculum is not a type of literature. It's not type of it should be a short curriculum which will be covered on the discussion type, so that the analytical and creative type of thinking will be developed. The secondary stage, which is a 4 year of multidisciplinary study. In this stage, greater flexibility and student choice of subjects will be given to this stage. The stage, secondary education, secondary stage is much flexible. In which student can choose the subjects. In particular, student would continue to have the option of exiting after class 10th. If a student choose the subject in class 9, then he can exit in class 10 and can shift to the other subject also. So skill-based mechanism of learning will be the major aspect of this NEP. Provision of re-entering in the next phase to pursue vocational or any other courses available in class plus 1 and plus 2. There is a provision for re-entry into the next phase. If a student want to opt different kind of want to choose different kind of subject, and then he or she are free to choose that subject with the certain guidelines. So secondary stage curricular content will be reduced in each subject to its core essentials. The content will be reduced to its core essentials, which is to make space for critical thinking. The whole curriculum of secondary stage will be divided into core essentials, which provide the critical thinking and more holistic, inquiry-based, discovery-based, discussion-based, and analysis-based learning. So when this education policy came into the existence and applied, it will change our school education. That means you can see that the whole education will be based on the critical thinking, holistic, inquiry-based, discovery-based, discussion-based, and analysis-based learning. And the content will be very not so lengthy. The expert will design the content to achieve these kind of qualities into the students during the stage of during the second stage. So the mandatory content will focus on key concepts, ideas, applications, and the problem solving. So this will be the this kind of curriculum content will be in the will be occur in the secondary stage, and the NCRT has been given to assign the duties to consult with the different experts, subject experts, and the stakeholders, and to cover to complete that course in a very short time. The secondary stage also covers sports integrated learning, in which, along with the class transactions, to achieve the related life skills along with the levels of fitness, as envisaged in the Fit India movement. So there will be sport integrated learning along with the classroom transactions. Student will be given increased flexibility, as we have discussed. The student will be will have greater flexibility and choice of the subject to study, as today's system of education. So, under the multilingualism and the power of language, because I mentioned it is a Bharat centric, because in this policy the local language will be given the priority. The medium of instruction until at least class 5th, but preferably till class 8 and beyond, will be home language, mother tongue, local language, and the language regional language. So along with the decision of the state, right? State are given the freedom to choose the kind of language, to find out the kind of language which language states want to be implement. So it's decided that up to class 5, medium will be a like in which the tutor or the tutor give their 100%, convey the message to the student maximum, and student got their meaning by using through the simple language, because the language barrier should not be there in the learning stage. So the home or local language shall continue to be taught as a language wherever possible, and this will be followed by both public and private schools. Both kind of schools will be required to follow this kind of guidelines. High quality textbooks, including in science, will be made available in home languages or mother tongue. So there's a provision to provide the high quality literature, whether it is of mathematics, humanity, science, and the languages, and it will be available in the home language, mother tongue, and other required languages also. In addition to high quality offering in Indian languages and English, Indian languages and English are the part of this education system, but the foreign languages will also be offered at the secondary level, such as Korean, Japanese, Thai, French, German, Spanish, Portuguese, and Russian, etc. The foreign languages will be the part of this secondary education system, and this will boost the students, the motivate the students to learn about at the international platform. So Indian Sign Language will be standardized across the country, and the curriculum developed for use by the student with hearing impairment. So in this education policy, the persons with or God gifted population will be have some certain kind of Indian Sign Languages also, which will be standardized by using the expertise of that area, and the curriculum material will be developed for them also, and the local sign languages will be respected and taught as well where possible and relevant. Concerted curricular and pedagogical initiatives, including the introduction of contemporary subjects such as artificial intelligence, is also a beauty of this national education policy, that it have the required knowledge at the level of secondary, that is artificial intelligence, design thinking, holistic health, organic living, environmental education, and global citizenship, education, etc. This kind of the topic are being studied in the higher education nowadays, but it will be also taught in the secondary education also. So transforming assessment for education development in this heading, the test higher order skills. The conventional system of evaluation will be changed, and the test higher order skills will be evaluated, such as analysis, critical thinking, and conceptual clarity. So the examination pattern or the test or the evaluation pattern will be based on the parameter analysis, analytical skill, critical thinking, and conceptual clarity of the student. So such kind of system in the question paper will be developed. So the report card is redesigned to reflect skills of learner. The report card that we have, the subject wise grade A, grade B, grade C. This will totally different in the execution of National Education Policy 2020, and that the report card will contain the grades in cognitive capacity, cognitive skills, effective nature, and the psychomotor domain. While the board exams for grade 10 and 20 will be continued, the existing system of board and entrance examinations shall be reformed to eliminate the needs of undertaking coaching classes. So the entrance examinations like NEET will be totally redesigned to understand the system of education, system of coaching classes in the India. So it will be tried to reform the coaching classes in that way to eliminate the coaching classes. The board exams in certain subjects could be redesigned to have two parts. One part of an objective type with multiple choice question, and the other is of descriptive type. The board exam will be like this, redesigned into two parts, object multiple and the descriptive type. The NCRT and NCTE will develop guidelines for the education of gifted children. So B.Ed programs may also allow a specialization in the education of gifted children. There is the provision in NEP 2020 that the God gifted children will be taken care of specially, and the B.Ed programs will also have specialization in the education of gifted children. Schools will develop smart classrooms in a phased manner for using digital pedagogy and thereby enriching the teaching learning process with online resources and collaborations. So this is all about the school education of new education policy. So thanks a lot for your valuable time, and I would like to special thank to the Dream College of Pharmacy, Sundarnagar in Himachal Pradesh, especially the convener of this program, Professor Dr. V.K. Gupta, who is the director and principal at Dreams College of Pharmacy, and my mentor, who give me the opportunity to interact and with the totally different topic of my concern. And I would also like to thank the chief patron, Mr. Naresh Chauhan, and the chairman of Dream College of Pharmacy, and also congratulate them, the whole team, for conducting this kind of webinars. And I also want to thank the organizer of Operant Pharmacy Federation, especially the patron of today's program, Mr. Vikram Chaudhary, and who is the director of Operant Pharmacy Federation India. My thank is due also to the organizing secretary, Ms. Mrinal Sharma, from Dreams College of Pharmacy, and the members of this organizing committee, Ms. Smriti Sharma, Ms. Shivali Verma, Ms. Kaushal, Mr. Kaushal, sorry, Mr. Sandeep Kumar, and Ms. Meenakshi. I congratulate and thank from the core of my heart to the whole team of this organizing webinar. So, and respected VK Gupta sir, thank you, thanks a lot, sir. Now it's over to
Thank
organizer.
you, sir. Now we are, thank you, sir. Now we are open for Q&A session. All participants can put their
Yes,
questions
yes,
in the
yes.
chat box, if any. Yes, sir.
If the participants having any kind of question related to today's discussion can raise their question and they put their in the chat box also.
Yes, if anyone have question in the audience and participant, you can put your questions in the chat box. I think there are no questions in the chat box, sir. Shall we carry on our today's webinar with next phase?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Munna.
Okay, sir. Now I want to hand over the session to Dr. Vivek Gupta, sir, for session remarks.
Really a very wonderful session. Thanks all. Third, this week come to know it is third national education policy after freedom. Drafts of policy is prepared under the leadership of renowned scientist ISRO chief Mr. Kasturi Ranjan ji. School education will be modified by restructuring 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. In current education, children in age group 3 to 6 years are not included, but in this policy, age 3 children are included. Policy is flexible, multifaceted, activity-based, learning in playway, logical thinking, occupying all-round development of children. New national education policy specially focused on early childhood care and education. Students teacher ratio 30 is to 1 will be ensured. Digital libraries, school libraries at the village level will also be well equipped with the books. 100% gross enrollment ratio to secondary level will be ensured by 2030. Flexibility in student choice subjects at secondary level will also be there. In this policy, critical thinking, holistic, analysis based learning will be the core essentials. Sports integrated learning will be there at the secondary level. Language barriers will not be there. Local languages, mother tongue will be preferred. However, students can learn foreign languages also as per their choice at secondary level. Artificial intelligence, environmental education will also be covered in this policy. Board exam will be reformed to eliminate coaching classes. So these were the key points in the lecture we come to know. So really it was a wonderful session. We aware a lot of knowledge about this national education policy. Thanks Dr. Jitendra Singh ji for your wonderful lecture on national education policy. Your lecture was well prepared in a very short span of time. We have all appreciation for you. This knowledge definitely helps us in understanding National Education Policy 2020. Thank you so much for your valuable time. So with these words, now I over to Ms. Minnal.
Thank you, sir. So now for introduction of our second session speaker, I want to hand over the session to Vikram sir. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Uh, I welcome and Professor Nisit Desai. He is the BSR Faculty Fellow, University Grant Commission, New Delhi, at Department of Chemistry, Maharaja Krishna Kumar Singh Ji, Bhavnagar University, Bhavnagar. Dr. Desai, having 39 years of teaching and research experience, and he has completed as a professor of 14 years and as a senior professor 4.5 years and having the administrations and research experience. He has designations in the various universities like senior professor, professor, and various positions. He has also worked as a dean faculty of science at Bhavnagar University. Also, he is coordinator for the DST FIST program in 2019. He is also the member of Executive Council MK Bhavnagar University. He is also the academic council member of MK University Bhavnagar. His area and specialization is organic and medicinal chemistry, green chemistry, applied research, and intellectual property rights management, entrepreneurship, and academic institutes. He has published more than 134 research articles in well-reputed international journals, and he has two book chapters in his credit. He has guided more than 44 PhD students to obtain the PhD, and he is also guiding the six postdoctoral fellow research scholars. He also received many of the distinguished career awards like postdoctoral Dr. D.S. Kothari UGC Fellowship Award, received prestigious career award for young scientists from University Grant Commission New Delhi. He also received a grant of 7 lakhs by UGC New Delhi under UGC BSR scheme. He also received Lifetime Achievement Award from Indian Society of Chemists and Biologists, Lucknow 2019. He also selected as a Bentham Ambassador of India by Bentham Science Publishers USA for 2018-19. In this regard, I welcome Professor Nisit Desai to our today's session. Over to Dr. Nisit Desai. Sir, you are self-muted.
Now it is, can you listen me?
Yes, sir. Now you are audible.
Yeah, fine. So good evening to all of you, and I am very much thankful to Vikram Chaudhary, who has provided me second time to come on this platform. And today I am going to discuss about the research and publication strategy for academic career. So today I am going to discuss about this particular topic. Jitendra Singh has taken the discussion on the school and primary education, but my focus will be given to the I will be focused on new education policy with respect to the research. As you know that for the first time in the education policy they have written the separate chapter on the research, and they are going to discuss about the they are going to constitute the separate board for the research funding, etc., etc. And under these circumstances, this particular topic is very, very important. And for the first time, in the new education policy, especially for the research, the separate fund will be provided to the state-funded university and college. I have a 37 years of experience, and this is my personal experience that lion share will be given to the IITians and CSR labs and central universities and this Aisher and all. So state-funded university and college, faculty members, they can get a peanut amount of the fund. And for the first time, in this particular new education policy, they have made the separate arrangement for the state-funded university and college teacher. So under these circumstances, this particular topic is very, very important. And I will begin with this, right? So in the new education policy, you can find that they have decided to constitute national research fund, and this will provide a reliable base of merit-based peer-reviewed research funding. So all this is very, very important. When you submit your research project, it will be reviewed and you will get the fund. Fund a competitive peer-reviewed grant proposal of all type and across all discipline. So this is the beauty of the new education policy. Fund competitive peer-reviewed grant proposal of all type and across all the discipline. So all the discipline will get the opportunity for funding for the research, seed, grow, and facilitate research at academic institutes, particularly at university and colleges where the research is currently in the nascent stage. So I have already discussed this particular thing with you, that especially because of the less funding and because of the crunch of the fund, the research activity at the college and state funded university, you will find that it is in the nascent stage, and this is for the first time they have made the separate arrangement for this particular research activity. Act as a liaison between the research and the relevant branches. So what is the role of National Research Foundation? It will act as the liaison between the researchers, relevant branches of the government as well as industry, so that research scholar are constantly made aware of the most urgent national research issues. So this is for the first time, this will be included in the in the form of new education policy. So the National Research Foundation will act as the National Research Foundation will act as the liaison between research and relevant branches of the government as well as industries. So industries will play a major role for research activity, which is the lake in our country, and for the first time the members have made separate provision for that particular aspect. Recognize outstanding research and progress achieved via National Research Foundation funding meritorious across the subject. So this is how you can find that this will be the role of National Research Foundation, and that's the reason that I have taken this particular topic. So under this with respect to the new education policy 2020, this particular topic is very, very important. So under these circumstances, now we'll try to understand that what is research. So research and publication strategy for academic career. So you can find that first we will what is research. So this is also very, very important. So we will start with the research philosophy. Research is extended human knowledge of physical, biological, and social world beyond what is already known. What is research? Why research is essential? So we have seen that what is research, then why research is essential. The quest of knowledge is basic principle behind research. The quality of research work directly translate to the quality of teaching and learning in the classroom, thereby benefiting the students, society, and country. The promotion of research in a huge and diverse country like India will help the nation evolve as a knowledge reservoir and in the international arena. So as you know that we are trying to take the leadership with respect to the new education policy. So under these circumstances, research is very, very important, and knowledge based research is very, very important as far as our country is concerned. Then who can contribute the research? Who can contribute in research? Academicians, scientists, technocrats, students, research scholar, and NGOs working for the service of the society. So these are the stakeholders, and they can contribute meaningful in the form of research. What type of research should be encouraged? Research which will be useful to the society at large and to the common people of the entire globe. So this type of research will be useful. It's not like that you carry out the bookish research, and this type of research will be encouraged by the government. What is research philosophy? Research philosophy is a standard way as to how experimental data be collected and analyzed. So this will be the research philosophy and ethics of the research. So research should be transmitted in a proper manner without any manipulation. Now, what are the, this is the, horoscope of research. So when you start the research, the upshot of research, so genesis of scientific research, then, observation, then curiosity, then ask the question, then literature survey, hypothesis, experimentation, collection of data, conclusion, show the results, and develop interaction. So this will be, few areas where, I have focused, and this particular, slide is the horoscope of research. So if you focus on this particular, any kind of the research will be, included in this particular slide, and this is called a horoscope of research. So, you should, genesis of scientific research is also important, then observation is important, curiosity, ask the questions, literature search, hypothesis, experimentation, then, collections of data, show the results, conclusion, and develop interactions. So this is how, if you want to carry out the meaningful research, and if you want to carry out the, research based on the society, then this particular slide is very, very important. Then, why publications are essential in the academics. When you are working in the academics, then, publications are very, very important. The first and foremost is accountability, then reputation, and then wealth. So, with the help of research, you can develop, you can have a reputation, and with the help of reputation, you can earn the wealth also. So accountability means contribution toward the scientific, social, economic growth of the society. Then reputation, recognition of your own work to the community at large and peers. And, with the promotion of grants, application, research funding, if your research does not generate publications, it might just as well not have been done. That's this was George Whitesides of Harvard University has, given a very good quote. So in this particular thing, I think this is completely clear in your mind that when you carry out the research, and if it is not, it will not generate any publication, then it's of no use and it is not meaningful. Then, when you start the research and when you carry out the publication, at that time, the very first and foremost thing is authorship. So you should be very much careful while, writing the research paper and all. At that time, authorship is very, very important. Who can consider, suppose if you start your research activity and if you want to carry out the publication, then a person who agreed to review your manuscript before submission to the journal, he will get the, authorship. A person who has provided a material for research or provide the basic research facility, should this person be an author? So the answer is no. What will be the consideration? Authorship criteria: substantial contribution. A person who has given the substantial contribution must be given the authorship, and accountability for the research. Is acknowledgement rather than the, authorship more appropriate? Reviewer should have also decided to conflict of interest. So this is how, when you start your research activity, at that time, you should be very much careful, and your mind must be completely clear that who will get the authorship. Then the next and very, very important since last 5 years, plagiarism. Now we are living in the arena of, digital arena. That is the reason that everything is available very easily. So under these circumstances, this issue is very, very important. And when you publish your paper in the international forum, at that time, when you send your paper for the publication, immediately editor will check about the plagiarism. So first we'll try to understand what is plagiarism: the appropriation of another person ideas, process, results, or words without giving any appropriate credit. So this is a very simple understanding, simple definitions of plagiarism. Of course, we'll discuss the plagiarism in detail about the UGC. UGC has taken serious note about the curbing of plagiarism. There are two different types of plagiarism: intentional plagiarism and unintentional plagiarisms. A researcher presents the idea or finding from other published papers as he owned instead of citing those paper. So this is very serious thing, and this is serious crime. That suppose if you grab the data from or ideas from other person, and if you even do not acknowledge, then it is called intentional plagiarism. Sometimes unintentional plagiarism, if you are not aware, but you quote the or cite the without citing, you use any results or data, that is called unintentional plagiarism. So what will be consideration? Where in the text do similarity occur, direct copying and theft, or use of prior published article as inspirations? Is the data authentic? Are the results new? If yes, then correction could be appropriate, citing and the previous publication. If no, then retraction could be appropriate. So this is how it is a brief about the plagiarism. So if you start research, and if you if you are seriously thinking about the publication of your work, then the very first and foremost is plagiarism. Now, this is the ramifications of plagiarism. There are 10 different type of plagiarisms. So plagiarism is very important. One is secondary source. Second is invalid source. Third is duplication. Fourth is preparedness. Then the fifth is replications. Then unethical collaboration. Then complete plagiarism. So all this is the ramifications of plagiarism. So we have a varieties of plagiarism, and in the next slide you can see that you know how to avoid the plagiarism. So plagiarism is very, very important, and don't plagiarize. Express your own thoughts and your own words, not to that is simply changing the few words or here and there. You can't avoid the plagiarism. So when you write research paper, at that time be careful. You have to inculcate your own ideas, etc., etc. Always if you want to there are 5 tips. If you want to avoid the plagiarism, always acknowledge in the contribution of the others your work. Identify the citation source when preferring or summarizing. Provide a citation in double when doubt about the facts or common knowledge. Always enclose verbatim text to quotation marks with the accepting of the citation, or cite the preliminary source and information of the secondary source. So these are the couple of tips which will be helpful to avoid the plagiarism in the manuscript. Then the very important thing is criteria for the selection of journal. Now, as you know that thousands of journals are available, and that's the reason that when you start your publication, or when you prepare the manuscript, at that time the very first and foremost problem is how to select the proper journal. So first you should be very much careful of the publication standard, diversity, and editorial contents. So now publication standard, publication timeline. What will be the time taken for the publication? That's very important. So should we first check it? Then international editorial board, bibliography information, and then peer review process. So all this is very, very important. Then diversity, editorial board members represent the international community. Does the journal address the international or regional targeted audience? And is the subject already well covered? How does the journal compare with the other journals on the same topics? So I have put it here elsewhere than SES and Harvard Business Review. So when you select your journal, all these 3 important criteria are there. Publishing, you have to check the publishing standard, diversity of editorial board, and editorial content. Then important point to remember for the submission of manuscript. So when you submit your manuscript, so now we have seen the research, then we have seen the plagiarism aspect, then how to select the journals, etc. At that time you should be very much important, very important points to remember for the submission of manuscript. Submit to the right journal, then pay attention to journal requirement and structure. Then submit to only one journal, not more than one. I have seen so many authors that they submit at a time 2-3 journals. This is purely unethical practice. Ask your colleague to proofread the articles, check the English knowledge, English language, pay attention to the ethical standard, and be self-critical, and don't send the salami article. Salami articles means the fragmented articles. Nowadays, so many authors are there, and they are interested to increase their number of papers, and that is the reason that fragmented articles are submitted in different journals. That is called a salami article, and salami article is totally unethical practice. Then peer review process. Why peer review process are adopted by the international renowned journal? The widely accepted methodology. This is widely accepted methodology. With the help of peer review, validate your research, establish methods to evaluate, and increase the networking within the community. So these are the couple of points through which why the peer reviews are very, very important, and these are the couple of points which I have taken here. Then landscaping of research to publication, right? Author submit the article. The very first and foremost thing is here author is sitting, and author will submit the article. Article assessed by editor. Sometimes what happens is the editorial office will straightway reject it. So nowadays you can find that large number of articles are received by the editorial office, and therefore 20% article will be straightway rejected from the editorial office. Then if editor will find that there must be some sort of novelty, then it will send to the reviewer. Then further review need. Then you can find that after reviewing the paper is rejected, or maybe reviewer assessed by the reviews assessed by the editor, and they will accept it, then production, then finally publication. Or sometimes what happens is the authors submit the revised paper, and then revision is required. Then or you can put it like the author submit the revised paper, then revision required, then review assessed by the editor, then accepted, then production, and then this is publication. So this is a landscaping, and I've used this particular word landscape. So landscaping of research to the publications. So when you start, when you finish your research, when you start the research, at that research to publication is very, very important nowadays. Now, question arises that when you submit your paper to the journal, there are a couple of editor will take either straight reject or minor revision or major revision or straight way paper will be accepted. So there will be 4 criteria. Editor will directly reject the paper, or editor will give the minor revision with the help of reviewers, major revision, and then it will be accepted. Then impact factor is very, very important nowadays. You can find that when you submit your project, or suppose if you write a project, and in that case what happened nowadays, cumulative impact factor is very, very important. And that's the reason that when you when you prepare your manuscript, at that time first you should try to understand that what will be the impact factor of the journal. As the number of points increase, then the impact factor is very, very important. So impact factor will give, it may provide the guidance, but should not be a sole reason to submit the journal. It gives the information to the recent citation, number of recent publication in the last 2 years in the journals, the most impactful research change, our fundamental understanding, or open the new path of the recognition. Now, suppose if you are interested to calculate the impact factor for X journal 2019, then you have to go to the back 2 years. The citation of the papers published in last 2 years, in 2018 and 2017. Suppose the citation is 220, and in 2017 it is 439, so total is 659. And then a number of papers published in 2 years, so it will be 275. So citation of recent publication by the number of recent publication, that will give the impact factor. So this is how impact factor is very, very important, and this is how the impact factor will, you can calculate it. I have seen so many I have seen so many candidates ask in the exam, what is impact factor, or how to calculate the impact factor. By and large, my expectation is, by and large, the candidate, they do not know about the impact factor, or they do not know how to calculate the impact factor. Then predatory journals is very, very important. You can see that nowadays, you pay the money, and your work will be published, but this is not a standard journal. So first we'll try to understand what is predatory journals. And publishers are entities that prioritize the self-interest at the expense scholarship, are characterized by the false and misleading information, deviation from best editorial and publication practice, a lack of transparency, or the use of aggressive and indiscriminative solicitations practice. So this is a brief or definitions of predatory journals in UGC, and all funding agencies, and all our statutory agency, they are very strict about the publication in predatory journals. University Grant Commission has UGC care. Now when you publish your paper, be careful. First you check that whether this journal is listed in the UGC care. This is the and this is the link. So if you want, it is given on the UGC website. So first you should check the UGC care list. Then this predatory, how to identify the predatory journals. So this is very, very important. Unsolicited request for submission of the journal via email, and not through submission portal. So the predatory publishers will send the frequent request on the email. The journal has no address or contact information, or author's guideline is there mentioned for peer review process or basic submission requirement. Then read the few published papers accepted quickly. Many indicates lack of peer review. There is no article retraction policy. So this is very, very important. You can see that in the international journal, there is a article retraction policy is also there. In the predatory journal, there is nothing like that. Then papers published in all subjects, large number of new journals from same publishers. In one bunch of journals. One journal you can find that there is a publications of all subjects of science where this is not possible. Then images or logos are distorted, fuzzy or misinterpretation. Unauthorized website contain the spelling and grammatical errors. The website is not professional quality. X visible visitor encounter the journals. So all this is this is a identification of predatory journals. If you want to identify them, you can put it like that. Then then predatory publishers and journals.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, please.
Excuse me, sir. Sorry to disturb you. Sir, can you share your screen? Your PPT is not visible to audience.
PPT is not visible to.
Audience.
Oh, not. I think probably next I will take
No
the care
issue,
because
sir.
yeah, fine.
Yeah, no, sir.
Check whether publisher is a member of committee of public ethics, because this is very very important. If the journal states that it is an open, then open access is also very important. Is it listed in the directory of open access journals like that? This is the website. Is the member of open access scholarly published association. Article publication charge are the only charge from author, and if the article is accepted after the completion of peer review, it is a publication fee, not submission. So predatory journals will initially, charge the, charge the money from the authors, and they will publish the papers like that. When this is about the predatory journals, and then the next is very important, how to review the research paper. Now suppose if you published at least couple of papers, some good papers, then editor will identify your email and your credential for the reviewing purpose. In that case, suppose if you are reviewer, then what the criteria are very important for the reviewer. Identify that MS should be full length paper, short communication, letters, and review. So all international journals, they have four different type of manuscript: full length research paper, short communication, letters, and review articles. So the parameters of full length research paper is different, parameters of short communication is different, parameters of letters to editor is also different, and parameters of review articles also different. So the parameters are different. Literature survey is an important for review. Previous work, capability of author should be checked, and then one has to give the final decision. So parameters are very very important. Literature survey is very important. Previous work is important. In the full paper, results and discussion, characterization are likely are key factors. In short communication letter, experimentation and conclusions are very important, because for the short communication, if you get a very good result, then within a short time, if you want to publish it, then you can send your you can send your publication, you can send your research in the form of communication. After you can prepare, you can publish your papers in the form of full communication. Then review the paper, check the title of the manuscript. So when you review it, the title of the manuscript must be appropriate and it should match with content. Then abstract is in the tunes with the manuscript. I have seen so many times that abstract, it is not tunes with the manuscript. Then keyword is also matched with the title of the manuscript. Introduction part is also very important, including rational justification, work reported in the manuscript, and literature survey. Then I have taken the example of medicinal chemistry because basically I am an organic chemist. So in case of then chemistry, results and discussion, biology collective including units, spectroscopy, all. Then scheme including conditions, substitutions. Then check the table carefully, including unit and physical constants. The experimentation include the characterization like IR, NMR, mass spectra, including workload, etc., etc. Then structure active relationship and supplementary information data. The most important is language, references, and plagiarism. I have seen so many manuscript in author, they are they are not serious about the reference, but reference will give the clear cut understanding of the manuscript of previous work. And if you are interested to reproduce the result, then references are very important. Language is important as far as India is concerned. When we send the paper for the publication, always foreigners will tell that your language is not up to the mark, and you have to be you should check the manuscript should be checked by native English speaker, like that. So under these circumstances, it should be very very important. Then the next is very very important. I have discussed almost all the criteria for the publications and research, etc., etc. So you can see that this is the recently this paper was published in AngloChem. The impact factor is 11.3. The authors have taken a very simple things, what they have taken: hand sanitizer, drug candidates like only cephalosporin and remdesivir, and outreach activity. Normally, if you want to publish a paper in AngloChem, then it is a dream. But smartly, this is a very important paper, and one should read the paper. This is beautifully, this author have published the paper with a very sanitizer and drug candidate. With the help of these two, sometimes what happens is, with the help of sanitizer, we cannot even imagine for the publication. But this is one of the finest publication I have seen in my life on the coronavirus. Then recently, one of my PhD student, who is one of my MSc student, he is working in IIT, IIT Guwahati. Recently, he has published a wearable sensing devices for point of care diagnosis. You can see that he has, this is one of the finest paper, and this paper is published in American Chemical Society, SES, Applied Biomaterial. They have discussed over what is the role of helmet, lens, shirt, gloves, etc., etc. So how to avoid the virus of coronavirus. So this is one of the beautiful paper. So when you write when you start the research and when you finish your research, then how to represent your results in a systematic way and smartly, that is called a writing skill. Then you can see that in case of this coronavirus, you can find that large number of papers within 4 or 5 months, 500 journals articles are published. And you can see that the coronavirus papers are, this paper was published in American Chemical Society, and this was submitted in March 6, 2020, and this paper was accepted on March 9, and 11th of March this paper was available on the online available. So all these papers are very very important. And then of course you can see that when you are involved in the research activity or publication activity, at that time the fabrication of data is very very important. It's a serious crime. Peer reviewers suspect the data manipulation in submitted manuscript. What could we do the editor? Sometimes what happens is, when you submit your paper and if you have make the fabrication or if you have manipulated data, in that case reviewer will have a substitution suspicion, and in that case what happens is, reviewer will immediately report to the editor. So what editor will consider? Request a timestamp for original data file, raise the author's institution to investigate. If satisfactory explanation, peer review can be proceeded. Otherwise, if unsatisfactory explanation, then manuscript will be rejected. So this is purely an unethical practice. That is the manipulation of data or suspicion of data. In that case, immediately if reviewer will feel that here is the person who has made some manipulation, in that case, he will be immediately consider. He will immediately report to the editor. Now this is one of the darkest darkest thing in the history of the publication. Recently you can find that Lancet has published one paper. Lancet, the impact factor of Lancet is 6.392, 60.392, which claim the anti-malarial drug touted by the President Donald Trump for the treatment of COVID-19 could cause the serious human without helping the patient had a global impact and halting the trial one of the drugs by World Health Organization. This paper was published in Lancet, and then they are not in the authors are not in a position to provide the data, and therefore Lancet had withdrawn the paper. To publish the paper in Lancet will be the dream of any internationally scientist. So the impact factor is 60. So for the first time, Lancet has withdrawn the paper, retrieved the paper, or even in the second New England Journal of Medicine, which has a 74.69 impact factor. So in that case, they have also withdrawn the data because of the fabrication of the data. In both the journals, both the research in both the journals, in the research paper, authors have fabricated the data. In the first one is Sapan Desai, is one of the best authors, Mandip Mehra, then Frank, and then Sapan Desai. That's for the chloroquine. So they have published the paper related to the chloroquine, and this chloroquine, they are not in a position to provide the data. This was the fabrication data. And then second is New England Journal of Medicine. So there, author is Sapan Desai, Mandeep Mehra, and the Timnoy Henry, and the Sapan Desai. So this is for the first time that Lancet has retrieved the paper, and New England Journal of Medicine. So if you are not able to, if you are trying to fabricate the data, then the international renowned journal will immediately retrieve the paper. So this is, one of the darkest, days in the history of, coronavirus. And during the time of corona, these two papers were withdrawn. It's not like that. Both the authors of these papers are internationally renowned, person. Then, the next is systematic manipulation and authorship for the sale. Now, I have given the, two figure. One is example of peer-reviewed manipulation, and second is example of authorship for sale. So, first we'll try to, understand this way. A third-party author manuscript with author A and B, then submit to the journal, then manuscript undergo the peer review, manuscript accepted, then third party offer the authorship. So initially, two authors will submit the paper, it will go for the, review process, the paper will be accepted, and then, these two author will contact the third party, and they will add, they will take the money, and, they add the name, and authors of C and D party, third party will be added, and the third party changes the authorship on the, manuscript, and manuscript with A, B, C, and D is published. So this is called a authorship for sale. Now this is also totally unethical practice, or sometime whatever third party guarantee accept for the fees, then manuscript with A and B author, suggested review with a false email, the author will give a false email, reviewer submit to the journals, peer reviewer invitation go to the third party via false email, and then third party generates the false favorable peer review, manuscript accepted, and authors A, B pay the third party, and then manuscript will be published. So this is totally unethical practice, and this was published in the Nature, and this is completely unethical practice. Nowadays, all these type of practice is going on. Now I have already discussed this matter with you that UGC is very strict about the curbing of plagiarism. UGC has issued the separate separate notification in the form of gazette, and you can see that when you insert your manuscript at that time, first it will go to the software, and software will give the this is the yellow shade or yellow mark is indicated the plagiarism. So this is about the plagiarism, and then UGC, the similarity check, UGC plagiarism shall exclude the following. So UGC has clear cut mentioned that what will be the exclude from the plagiarism: all quoted work reproduced with necessary permission and attribution, all the references, bibliography, table of content, preface and acknowledgement, all the generic terms, law, standard symbols, and standard like name of bacteria, name of virus, they are not considered as the plagiarism. So UGC has clear cut given all the things, and suppose, and UGC has also given the level of the penalty. Suppose 10% similarity is not considered, it is a minor similarity above 10% shall check as the withdrawn the manuscript. Suppose when you publish your paper, and in the university somebody has given the complaint, if it is more than 10%, then the manuscript should be withdrawn. Level 2 shall be asked to withdraw, 40 to 60 shall ask to withdraw the manuscript, shall deny a right of 1 annual increment, shall not be allowed to be a supervisor or new master's, PhD, MPhil scholar, and similarity more than above 16 shall be asked to withdraw manuscript, shall be denied to write the 2 successive annual increment. So UGC has also given all the level of punishment, and if you are working academics, then you should be very much careful before submission, before publishing any paper. It will be very, very important for you. Now in my university, what I did, we give the certificate, and we have taken the quotation of UGC that whatever the things we have included in the form of manipulation, and it is mandatory to include the Urkund report in the thesis. So this is how 1% similarity was there. Recently, one of my PhD student has submitted the PhD thesis. Then nowadays a lot of softwares are available. Urkund is also available. then plague aware also authenticate, then solution of plagiarisms. So these softwares are freely available. These softwares are available. Some of the softwares are paid software, but these softwares are freely available. So when you write your paper, when you submit your any monograph, etc., etc., at that time, first you should pass through the plagiarism check software, so that in future you will not find any problem. Then next is second, the research publication ethics. So last year UGC has already introduced these particular things, because there is a lot of unethical practices going on in the academics in our country, and that's the reason that before registration of the PhD program, students should undergo the 2 credit program, that is called a 30 hours program. This is syllabus: database, the research metrics database 4 hours, index database, citation database, impact factor journal as per the journal citation report. Then the metrics: H index, what is H index, G index, I index, etc., etc., etc. And then the philosophy of ethics, then scientific conduct, then open access publication, what I have already taken up, then publication misconduct, and how to use the software. So this is how you can find that UGC is very strict about this. UGC has already issued the notification in the form of gazette for plagiarism. And then second is the credit course of awareness about the publication ethics and publication misconduct, entitled research and publication ethics. So this is how you can find that UGC is very, very important. And this is the photographs of my research group when I was retired. At that time, my research scholar has arranged program, whole day program. So this is the group photographs. So this is how I have tried to cover as much as possible about the research strategy, what is research, and how to combat the plagiarism, how to combat the unethical practice, and how to proceed for the effective publication. So this is how I have tried to cover up almost all system, because with respect to the new education policy, for the first time the research board will be constituted, and research board will fund the program, fund the research. And when you take the funding from any research, at that time publication is very important. You should also publish. Or alternatively, when you applied for the project, at that time publication is very important, and on the base of your publication, experts will evaluate your application, funding application, etc., etc. So again, I am very much thankful to Vikram Chaudhary and Mrinal and VK Gupta for providing me an opportunity. I don't know how far I have satisfied to the participants, but this is the latest trend which is going on for the research strategy or publication strategy. And when you publish your work, at that time be careful. Even you can get the idea about the tragedy going on with the CNR Rao. Without the knowledge of CNR Rao, his student has used his word, his name, and then one line was included in the plagiarism. So that was a very big issue. And since then, UGC is very strict in all over world nowadays. This is very, very important, very strict. So thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to discuss the very vital topic as far as the pharmacy is concerned, or academic institutions is concerned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now we again are open for Q&A session. All participant or audience can put their question in the chat box, if any.
If any audience having any kind of questions, you can drop into the comment box so we can raise to our speaker.
Yeah, fine. You can have I don't have any problem to give the reply.
So there is one question by Shivani Sharma.
Yeah.
Can we go directly in the search line after B Pharmacy?
Uh, Directly you can't go. You should go to the master, because for the PhD registration, the master degree is allowed. But in case of JNC, in some of the in some of the university, they are giving 12 plus 3 plus 2. In that case, directly they are giving the master degree when you enter in the after 12. Then if you have a master degree, then and then you can carry out research activity, and you can join the PhD program, etc., etc. Or you are eligible for JRF, or you are eligible for GATE examination.
Thank you, sir. So there are no further questions in the chat box. Shall we carry on with
Fine, thank you
today's?
very much.
Okay. Thank you, sir. In this session, Professor Nishit Desai told about national policy research funding and grants, National Research Foundation involvement in NEP, value of research in academics in different manners, and how we can contribute in the research different important phase of research, publication importance in the academics, criteria for authorship of research paper and publications, and others, different types of plagiarism, different consideration in publication, different source of plagiarism, different method of to avoid plagiarism, and criteria for selection of journal, how to submit a manuscript with less plagiarism, about Islami article submission and research reasons for the rejection of articles, landscape for publication. Research should be novel for publication in repertory journal and for good IF factor, impact factor journal. How to get good impact factor journals. How to avoid fake journal and predators. Different types of submission one can submit, parameters to improve the submission of manuscript, how to improve writing skills, criteria of different journals like Lancet for the article submission, about systemic planning for the article sale and mistakes carried out during the submission of article for sale, UGC guidelines to avoid the rejection of manuscript, different paid and non-paid software for plagiarism check, and lastly about publication ethics according to UGC and other authorities. Thank you so much, sir. Now, for vote of thanks, I want to hand over the session to to Vikram sir.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for your wonderful presentation on research publications and academic strategies. You have included overall points for the researchers and especially for those who are the beginner in the research field and they want to career in the research. You have included all the plagiarism strategies and publication strategies, how people getting the rejection in the journals and how they can avoid the rejection of papers in the various journals. So you have concluded all the topics, and before you, Dr. Jitendra Singh have concluded the on new educational policy on the school education and all the new education policies we have concluded. I am very much thankful to Professor Nishit Desai and Dr. Jitendra Singh, and also thankful to Dr. Vivek Gupta, Director cum Principal, James College of Pharmacy, and also thankful to today's organizing secretary and the moderator, Ms. Mirnal, Assistant Professor, James College of Pharmacy, and also thankful to each and everyone who have joined today's webinar very patientfully. Thank you so much, each and everyone. The feedback link of today's session is provided on the screen and also available in the description of this video. So this link is active till 8 p.m. So I request to all the candidates, please fill the feedback link.
Vikram, I
Thank you.
actually sorry for not visualizing the slide
No, sir.
properly.
Sir, if you not having any issue, you can share me the PPT. So we will be send you to our delegates.
Fine, no problem. Next time I'll take this care, no?
Yeah, yeah, no problem, sir.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Vikram.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
थैंक यू वेरी मच सिंह सर, आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आप पूरे दिन पूरे टाइम यहाँ बैठे उसीलिए थैंक यू वेरी मच सर। गुप्ता सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Unmute.
ओके,
Thank
बाय
you.
बाय।
Thank you very much.
बाय बाय।
Bye,
Bye
sir.
bye.
All the audience, please note that feedback link is available in the description of the video. Please go through the description